I remember when I was young, there was a comedy record album I had, and it was my parents. And there was a routine on there which I'm gonna start out this video with, which is a joke. And I can't think of one time that I made a video where I started out with a joke, but this one's very fitting for the occasion. It was about a young man who buys a yacht, and he's very proud of this yacht, and he has his parents come, his mother and his father, to show how well he's doing and how beautiful this yacht was. And he's giving him a layout of the yacht, and then he shows him his hat. He has this captain's cap, and he says, "Look how successful I am. Look how well I'm doing." And now I'm a captain. He has his captain hat for his yacht, and his father looked at him and says, "Yeah, to you you're a captain, and to your mama you're a captain, and to me you're a captain, but to a captain you're no captain." Well, that's kind of a fitting way of how I need to, in a way, describe myself right now. I was working on a YouTube channel today, and I needed to put up a description about who I am. I'm putting these videos out for people to follow, and they kind of should know who I am when I start. And there was a place to put a description in, and I was trying to think of the wording to use. And I remember when I was working at the hospital and we had a PR person who was developing a lot of my stuff, they were always calling me an expert. And, I never used the word myself, it was always being used. But now I'm in a situation where I need to put up a description, I didn't know what to say. And I reverted back to what was said for me in the past, an expert in the field. And that joke came back to me because, I think that most people who I've run through stop smoking clinics, they did see me as an expert. And to, a lot of medical professionals in my area and people who would refer people to me. And, there's a lot of people in this world who really do consider me an expert in helping people to quit smoking. Reason being is I've helped a lot of people quit smoking, in live programs, thousands. On the internet, lots of people, again, I can't give you a count. It's just all over the place. My material is used all over the place. My videos are referred to in many sites. And I would say that a good percentage of the people who are utilizing this stuff and quitting are seeing me as an expert in the field. But there is this population out there who probably doesn't. And who that population is? It's the experts in the field. It's the experts in tobacco control. Now, the reason that they don't see me as an expert is because everything I say is against what the experts say. It's been that way forever. When I was first doing my stop smoking clinics and doing programs about smoking, I was talking about cold turkey as being the best way to quit smoking. Now, I got to point out, this is before pharmaceuticals existed. We're going back into the mid 70s, and there weren't any real pharmaceuticals to help people quit smoking. But back then, the state of the art program, the state of the art was how to teach people to cut down on their smoking, to gradually reduce, and then they would quit smoking. Well, anyone who's gone through my videos kind of know my views on gradual withdrawal. Gradual withdrawal is torture to people, and it doesn't work. But I was told at that time you had to do it that way because you couldn't do cold turkey programs. For the, one obvious reason, nobody would come to a cold turkey program. Why are you going to conduct a program? Why are you going to run a clinic that no one's going to come to? Well, you see, I didn't have that problem that nobody was coming. I filled up all my clinics. We started out, I was working with the Cancer Society. They were free programs. Even when I started at the hospital, they started out free, and then they went to $10 and $20. Over a 20 or 25-year period, it worked up to $150. But even at that time, we always were able to, fill up the seats that we had. We never had a problem. In the middle years, it was incredible because we did no advertising. It was a straight word-of-mouth program. Why did it work? Because we had a whole bunch of people who quit smoking, and they would go out and get everybody they knew who smoked into those programs. So, I just never had trouble filling rooms. What was funny about it was how I was constantly told, we can't do this program because no one will come, but we were filling up rooms, and all the competing programs that were out there that were, using what was state-of-the-art kind of philosophies, They didn't have that ability to fill programs like that because they didn't have word of mouth in a real sense. They had an advertising budget, but they didn't have long-term success people really trying to get people in who they knew, who they cared about. They wanted them to be able to quit smoking too. So in the beginning, the problems I had was, I was running a program that nobody would come to and that nobody could succeed because cold turkey was impossible. And of course, it wasn't impossible. It was how, at that time, the majority of people were still quitting smoking who didn't go to programs. I mean, it's the same then as it is now. Then the pharmaceutical influences came in, and now all the studies and all the research that seems to be done by people who are funded by pharmaceuticals and for the purpose of trying to figure out how to get people to use pharmaceuticals, to make it seem the most successful. And, it's like, am I ever going to be able to convince people who the way they get their bread and butter is by getting studies funded and produced by people who are producing products which are trying to sell those products? No, I'm never going to convince those people. Those are the experts in the field. That's who runs tobacco control. Okay, I've learned to accept that. So I'm doing now what I've always done. It's like, I don't care what tobacco control is doing. My concern has always been for people who wanted to quit smoking. And I was trying to put together programs for people wanting to quit smoking. And that's what I'm doing now. So what's making it awkward is I never called myself an expert before. I just had other people to do it for me. And now I actually had to go use the word myself. So I'm qualifying it. I'm considered an expert to people who have quit smoking. I am not an expert to experts who are telling people how to quit smoking. People who have the credentials. They've had their peer reviews. That everybody thinks, oh no, they know what they're talking about. They're experts. I wouldn't send people to most experts to quit smoking, if their life depended on it. And often it does. But I know what they're going to put them into. They're going to put them into, pharmaceuticals. And I actually think that most people who are pushing whatever they're pushing, they believe what they're pushing. They do, because they're being told by everybody. They're, all the other experts that they accept as experts, they're telling them all that, or they're being told by them all that this is how you do it. You have to use these products. That's the only way people succeed in quitting smoking. And it's funny because I remember my early days of doing programs. I sometimes encountered experts, and when I would tell them what I was doing, and not just what I was doing, but what the success we were having, how all these people were quitting smoking, they didn't believe me. They just didn't believe people could quit smoking, and you could see it was sincere. They did not believe people can quit smoking. That's how a lot of experts are in this field because they've been sharing all the state of the art with people that they've dealt with, and they don't see a whole lot of successes. What it really comes down to when they're dealing one-on-one with real human beings now in real world settings, they just don't believe people can quit. And that's why harm reduction is getting such a kind of boost by many people. It's because people can't quit smoking, and if they can't quit smoking, you should try to at least reduce their exposure and reduce their risk. And the reason that I don't have that same philosophy of harm reduction is my true belief. And again, I truly believe this. I believe people can quit smoking. I believe people are very successful at quitting smoking. I believe a whole lot of people have quit smoking. And, when I was first doing this, I explained in some of the other videos that, we used to get a lot more people in the middle years than we got at the end. And the difference was between the middle years of my doing clinics, 10 years into it, 15 years, 20 years, compared to the 20 to 30 year period. The main difference was people coming into the clinics when they would graduate in those, first 10 and 20 years of clinics. When they would graduate, they would be there that day, excited, thrilled that they don't smoke anymore, doing something that they thought was impossible. They quit smoking, and they would be saying, I'm going to get every smoker I know into this. There's so many people they know who need this. They want to bring them into this program. You would hear this over and over. I'm going to get every smoker I know into this. At the end, though, in my last 10 years of doing live programs, one of the things that I would hear the first day of the clinic or the second day when people were introducing was, I'm the only smoker I know. None of my family smokes, none of my friends smokes. Nobody know I smoke, and you could see how there was a change. It wasn't a change because of my clinic. It was a change in the society that was already occurring at that point in time, where everybody in the beginning used to know all these smokers and want to get them all in to quit smoking. Now you'd listen to people at the beginning of the clinic, and they don't really know that many smokers anymore. All the people they know who used to smoke had quit, and they were one of the last in their social circle. I saw that so many times, and we're talking hundreds and hundreds of times where people would come in and repeat this kind of same story over and over again. And it's what made it so clear to me. It wasn't my influence of changing it. It was just the way it was with the society I was in. I saw success. Yes, in my clinic I saw success, but I saw success in people before they ever got to my clinic by what they were witnessing, uh, by their social and professional circles, that they were becoming one of the few smokers that they knew. And somehow, I don't know why, but the experts can't seem to recognize this. If they would go interview their family and friends and neighbors and find out how many of them used to smoke and don't smoke anymore, I think they're going to get blown away. Now, I can't say this in all parts of the world because there's some parts of the world where, hey, things are lagging here. But in a lot of developed countries, they're going to find there's a whole lot more ex-smokers than they ever realized, and that they were successful at quitting. And as I always point out, if they go and they talk to the people who quit and find out how they did it, they're going to find out they went cold. And again, there's videos covering all that aspect. Again, I don't need to repeat that here. So anyway, the point of this is, yeah, I'm no expert to the experts, and I have no problems with that. They're no experts to me. It's a fair comparison. So it's I'm just producing this, and I'm going to point out something that I'm going to do with this video that I haven't done with any other videos. There are sites where it's mostly experts in tobacco control where they participate. I kind of have memberships in these sites. I kind of look at them every now and then, although I got to point out, there's time periods I'll go weeks. Sometimes I've gone months without even looking at the sites because, I am busy and there's much better things I can do with my time. These are people who I'm not going to convince of anything, and let's face it, they're not going to convince me of anything. So, I didn't want to waste my time with them. I'm not sure I'm going to do this, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to put this video up at that site. And I want to point out why I'm doing it, because I'm starting to see, at least at one of them, that it's people coming in tobacco control. Yes, it's the normal people who, are trying to, push the state-of-the-art programs, but I also see people coming in at times now who really are trying to help people quit smoking. And I'm putting this out there for them. I want them to know, here's another resource. Is it something that's going to help get you published? Is it something that's going to help to, make you appear more of an expert to other people? No, it's not. But if you got patients who really need to quit smoking, if you got children who, they're adults now, but they're smokers and they're starting to have consequences and you're concerned about them. Do you have parents who are really, getting sick now and gosh, if they don't quit soon, they're going to die? And you want something to help them with, we have an online resource for them. You can send them to the Why Quit site. You can send them to the YouTube videos that I'm producing now. It's something that's out there. Is it going to make change the world? No, it's not. Most of the world's never going to find out about it. They're not going to find out about it again from professionals anyway, as far as professionals in tobacco control. But there are stuff out there to help, and I'm going to use it for that way. So anyway, that's the premise of this. To an expert, I'm no expert, but the people who are wanting to quit smoking, I think they're going to realize that what I'm saying is true. What I've espoused from the beginning of my 40-year career in smoking control, what I've said from the beginning is true. That if you want to quit smoking, it's possible. You can do it. The majority of people who used to smoke, have quit. And the way they quit, whether they use the words or not, I don't know. In fact, I know in the majority of cases they didn't. But the way they quit is they stopped smoking. They went cold turkey, and whether they ever used the terminology or not, they made a commitment that they've stuck to, whether they've ever said it or not. But the commitment they stuck to, and the reason they're so successful was they somehow just knew to never take another puff.